this end for Ntando. All right. So, we do have a third guest, and he's on his way, because that's how Hollywood he's gone nowadays. All right. So, let me introduce. Do you know what? Why don't I get you to introduce? I've done enough work. You guys can introduce yourselves. Let's start off with you, Rashida.
Okay. I am Rashida Seriki, and I guess I'd say I'm a writer-director. And
come on, all right.
that is my occupation.
Yes, indeed it is. But you could any more details you want to share with us at this point?
I was here last year. I won 2 awards at the BFI Future Film Festival last year for my first film, The Fence, and that kind of launched my entire year and led up to everything that I've been doing since then.
Good. And Theo?
My name's Theo Williams. I'm a director as well, but I also used to edit a lot. I'm a part owner of Out Since Tuesday. My partner here, Ntando, is the other half, who will be coming along shortly, hopefully.
Yeah, no, he's not like an imaginary friend. Yeah. He's a real person. Oh, look.
And he's just made it.
Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen, Ntando Brown. All right. No. Sorry. See if you can clap scornfully. Try it again. Like, yeah.
Bit more angry.
Slow clap. Yeah. Like this. Like Nancy Pelosi.
Sorry.
All right. Welcome. Okay, sorry, Theo. I'm sorry, you were rudely interrupted. Please, continue.
You don't want to get on Yari's bad side.
No, you don't.
So we make up Out Since Tuesday. We're a production company / media agency. We kind of try and trim the fat a little bit in the commissioning process. We basically work with a roster of freelancers to deliver everything from promo content all the way through to short films and stuff like that. So this is Ntando.
Hey, so I'm a little bit out of breath.
Did you run all the way?
Yeah, from the station, yeah. I was going to take this off, but I think I'm all sweaty underneath, so I'm not going to do that.
It's good, because if I'd done that, I'd have crawled in. Literally, they'd have put me on the trolley and wheeled me in. So.
My name's Ntando Brown, and we run Out Since Tuesday together. As just to mimic what Theo said, basically, we're a production company, but we're moving into a space of being a creative commune. So essentially, we link brands with freelancers. So, like, for example, if a brand like Prada, for example, might want a photographer, but they'd rather have someone with like 30 years experience, which is usually the case, then we would rather be like, right, so instead of that, why don't you have this photographer who's only got maybe 3 years, but their work is more authentic to what it is that you want. And then we surround that person with industry professionals so that they can actually they can meet the standards of what Prada need. That's just an example of what we might do.
Okay.
And everything else he said, basically.
Yeah. All right, well, look, the whole point of this session, it's called Turning Pro. And so, really, I suppose the key thing is to kind of get lots of ideas and thoughts about that whole process of going and starting to get paid and maybe being able to support yourself and that sort of stuff, and kickstarting everything and getting everything going. So, right, I'm going to start off with Rashida, if that's all right, ladies first, if that's all right, gentlemen. I mean, you can't literally ask for anything, right? But Rashida.
Yeah.
The Fence really kind of started things motoring for you, right?
Yeah.
So how did that get started? How did you get to the point where you actually had this, you were ready to make this film and you know, I mean, I'm assuming you didn't know that it was going to kind of make all this stuff happen.
No. I had just graduated from uni.
What uni? Details.
Royal Holloway, September 2016.
What course did you do?
I did philosophy.
Really?
Yeah.
Not a film course?
No. Well, I did a film course as well.
Okay.
But as far as graduations go, philosophy from Royal Holloway.
Do you find that your films, is there a kind of philosophical angle?
Yeah. And I'd definitely say that not getting a film, like film degrees are not necessary, I would say, to jump into the
Controversial.
industry.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much you can do outside of whatever, even if you're doing accounting, there's so much experience to be had.
Yeah.
Practically, just jumping into the industry rather than, going to study a screenwriting course for 3 years, for example. But that's just my opinion.
Okay, so sorry, I just kind of went down that little rabbit hole, but we're talking about, getting ready to do the fence. How does this all happen?
I graduated from uni, got into my first job, which was like a graduate job at Channel 4 in Fremantle. And I kept on saying...
A TV job?
Yeah.
But you don't have any TV qualifications?
I don't know what to tell you. I just applied for it. Wow.
Sorry, fair. I doff my cap. Go for it, please. No, go on. I was like, how did you manage to pull that off though? Because you're talking about you're super casual. Oh, I just got the job.
It was a graduate job, so they put you through these. There's all these schemes around now, isn't there? So they say that they're looking for fame, talent, and applied for it. Like this really long 3 interview process. Went to go and work at Channel 4 in Fremantle as a junior researcher for scripted content. And in these things, they asked you, like, okay, so what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And I was like, well, I want to write and direct for film and TV. And they were like, is it film or is it TV? And I was like, well, both. Does it matter? And there was this woman who was like, you can't keep on saying this to people who are trying to like turn you into an assistant producer or something TV related because you're only going to get yourself fired. And then what are you going to do at the end? Yeah. So it's like, well, okay, I don't want to be fired at the end of my contract and have nothing. Yeah. So I used some money from my savings, made the fence.
Well, you just left?
No. I did it on a weekend.
Okay.
Which went terribly wrong because we lost all the footage the first time and then had to reshoot everything all over again.
Wow. Wow. Sorry, you can't just... what happened? You can't just say, we lost all of the footage. What happened? Do you think the first version of the film that we'll never get to see, was it better?
Yeah. But you can always romanticize about things that never came to be.
Yeah.
But I used £800 from my savings, basically. Made this film, submitted it sat on it for about 4 months because I thought it was awful because you're your own worst critic. Mm-hmm. Submitted it to Seoul Film Festival, which is ERA's festival, and...
Festival's a little generous, but thank you. It's more like a screening and networking event. Oh, okay, go on.
And it got selected, which is like a good kind of boost of confidence, like this thing I did on the weekend.
So just to be clear, so what you're saying is all the subsequent success was my fault, essentially.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like this is a really like waffly way.
No, tell it. Preach, girl.
It went to Seoul, then it got submitted for BFI Future Film Festival. It won 2 awards.
Which I must admit has nothing to do with me. Okay? That's important to point out. I have nothing to do with the selection process for this festival at all. So it's not like you got a favour, like you know a guy. It did the work by itself, which is good, considering you didn't think it was any good in the first place.
Yeah.
Shows what you know.
Yeah, off the back of that, I kind of started my whole year of working full-time as a writer-director.
Okay, and just where does the idea for the fence, do you see what I mean? Because it's like kind of very, I just wrote this film. Do you see what I mean? Where did it come from?
The fence is about 2 girls trying to reconcile their sort of faith and religion with their sexuality, which they're both really in denial about, but they're 2 friends. And everything that I do, because I write drama kind of predominantly, based on kind of the social issues around us. And it was inspired by one of my friend's experiences. And I'm I believe in writing everything down, so I have like a notebook literally in this little fanny pack here that I write ideas down in, and when I'm ready to develop them or when I'm in a headspace to turn it into something, whether it's like a TV pilot or a short film or a first feature, then I sit down and I do it.
Okay, do you want to make some notes about a suave and amusing presenter who has some sort of adventure for a film in the future? Okay. No? All right, your loss. So tell me a little bit more about the past year then. So you win this award at the Future Film Festival, so then what happens?
When I won the award, I was in the process of raising some money for a short film that I was going to Nigeria to shoot, but then I won the award and I won one lot of money and a second lot of money. So I was able to use the first lot of money towards the Nigerian short. And the thing is, when you can be like, oh, I've got this money for something, somehow it makes people more confident to chime in and then add to it and give you some more. So off one of the awards, I was able to complete the funding for my Nigerian short, and then I had another set of money by LaCie and a year's support from the BFI to make another short film. So that was me sorted for 2 short films, and in the process, being able to say I won these 2 awards from the BFI, I got off my TV pilot idea, which got optioned by a production company called Hattrick, because it kind of sets things in motion. I think, full loss of like a better word, I just feel like the industry is, I feel like this is going to sound terrible, but
No, go on,
like
say it.
sheep. So if they see that someone's interested in you, then everyone kind of wants to be like, okay, if they see something in her, then I want to as well. And
just in case you end up being the next big thing, they want to have gotten early.
yeah, basically.
But no one got in earlier than me. I mean, get in the queue, pal. Sorry, I don't mean to put you off. Do you see what I mean? I was worried that you'd spent the entire budget on those socks, man. Those are pretty darn. Wow. They are amazing. They're amazing. All right, anyway, go on. Sorry. I said I'd stop putting you off.
I don't even remember where I was at ERA.
Right, you were having success. You were going off. You were like, it was all rolling. You're getting through. Then what happens?
Then you just have to keep on. I guess it's tenacity. If you want to keep on working full time, doing what you want to do, then you need to find the kind of opportunity to do so. You apply for all the funding. Yep. You kind of take like an entrepreneurial attitude towards finding money to make what you want to make. And I'd say like network horizontally. So don't always look upwards to get who's, popular at the minute. Like the people around you and their different skill sets, utilize it and create something. Because that's what I did with Defence, and that's what started off my entire...
You've got Ntando and Theo nodding sagely there. All right. So talk to us a little bit about getting Out Since Tuesday started. Why?
It was
why is easier? Why is easier?
Why? Tell me why.
Why is taking back control of your own narrative a little bit? I think it's so easy to always, especially depending on what you want to do, it's so easy to always be building someone else's dream in this industry. So why is simple. We wanted to make our own stuff. The process of it is way more complicated than that.
Yeah. So me and Theo worked at Lemonade Money, which is a production company in East London. They're now in London Bridge. That's where we met. So we started there quite young. I was at university and I dropped out to work at Lemonade Money. I was doing a sandwich course and in entertainment technology, but prior to that I was doing construction management, and then did entertainment technology, did a sandwich course, and then went on to Lemonade Money. It was only supposed to be for like a year as a sandwich course, and then they offered me a full-time job, so I dropped out of uni and stayed there. And that's when me and Theo met, and and then we kind of worked there for a few years together. Then I think eventually, Theo probably before me, saw a glass ceiling of like how far you could get, like head production assistant, like studio managers, junior camera ops, like junior editors, those kind of roles for a while. But then we kind of wanted more from our weeks, you know? So it's like, there's only so much you can do in a weekend. And so it ended up being like, okay, cool, we want more from our weeks and want to build our own kind of. So Theo left first, and I missed him, so I left. And then, Theo went freelance for a while, and then we ended up talking to people like, because we already had links with people like Channel 4, SBTV, and people like that, just because of where we were working at Lemonade Money. We just got really friendly with them. And so every now and then we'd like talk to them and whatever, and then I think the moment it became it was always going to be a thing where we wanted to push our content together. We just didn't know what it was going to look like, because we came from a production company and we never really thought we were going to make another one. That wasn't the plan. The plan wasn't, let's make a production company. The plan was, let's just make some cool shit. And then when I was speaking to Channel 4, it was Isaac. When he was Isaac Dempsey, yeah. He was a commissioner at Channel 4 for a while, and he's now a CCO over at SBTV. And we were in a meeting, and they were telling me that they wanted to commission a web series, but I'm not a company, so I need to register and all that stuff. I was like, oh shit, okay. So it was through necessity, rather than, oh yeah, shit, I want to have a production company. It was like, okay, cool, we want to run stuff through the production company. And then we didn't get the commission. So we didn't get the commission, but then we had the business, and so then Theo was like always there from the beginning, but then jumped on board a lot in a bigger way, as like over the years, and then we ended up just running Out Since Tuesday as a duo. But then it started off just being like our close-knit crew of who we knew, like, because we knew a lot of people in the industry just through working at Lemonade and all that stuff. But then that turned into like I love to connect to people and like work. We love to collab in general. So it's like always learning new skills, always bringing people on that have something that you don't. And so our like circle ended up getting bigger and bigger as we traveled more. Like Theo's got a dual passport, so he's lucky. And so then we're able to kind of meet people in different places around the world. And then we meet up with different photographers and just do test shoots. And like at one point we had like an office that we shared in New York in the 67th floor in the Empire State Building. We shared it with another company called Film Fam, and Fubu owned the whole floor. So then we were in there doing test shoots with like all these different people, just because we were like, well, we need to practice our craft. Do you know what I mean? So it was like just constantly trying to do things and then making money wherever we could in terms of like freelance work. It might be corporate, it might be like junkets, it might be whatever really. It was like we're making money where we could, but really and truly it was like making sure we're meeting people. And that allowed us to be able to build our network out. So now, really the lifeblood of the company is the fact that we have a crazy roster of freelancers. So we've got like about 180 freelancers in this country, from like directors, DOPs, editors, sparks, gaffers, everyone really. And then in New York we have about 40, 50, in LA we have about 40, and then in Toronto we have about 50, and we're building more in Berlin, Paris now. And because usually we send people from here if it's in Berlin and Paris, but we like to use the natives of the country because they know their way around.
I think one thing as well is when we were first starting out, Ntando and I had the opportunity to work with a huge selection of really, really incredible award-winning directors.
Oh, yeah.
Just throughout the years of like
you know, from being like 17 and working with these really, really incredible people, whether they're great visual minds or narrative minds, and you kind of see all of these different ways people learn to interact with crew or with talent on stage, and everyone's kind of got their own style and their own way of doing things.
Sure.
And that kind of led us to, you, as a production company, it's very easy to go, these are our directors, we're, you know, going to put them forward for everything we possibly can to try and hit as many jobs as possible. Whereas we can be a bit more tailored in our approach. So if it's, you know, for example, we've got Hype Beast in conversation at the moment, you can find someone who's an incredible visual director who knows that audience and can really curate content to their wants and needs, and it's way easier than trying to shape someone who might not necessarily have that body of work behind them or something like that. And just you know, you just bring the best at each project because you are that bit more flexible and you're not tied down necessarily to any one person.
There's a perfect person for every job, and it's like there's no real. It's like you can try and stuff a director into a hole or a box that they're not used to, and they'll take the job and they'll probably enjoy it, but you might not get the best work out of them. So but the best thing to do really is just find the best person that is interested in it, loves to do it, that has a passion for it, and the work will always come out better. They'll give you more time, they'll put more effort into it, all of that stuff. It just come out as a more authentic piece. So that's kind of where the more we have as a community, essentially, the more we have as a community, the more we can give to the client, because they can always have a choice.
But how do you then keep, you've got 170 different people, how do you keep them happy? Aren't they not kind of coming to you saying, hey, I ain't done nothing for a month, what's going on? Give me some money, Ntando. Where's the money, Ntando?
It's not actually a problem, because, I guess, generally speaking, production companies will have a roster of like 5 directors or whatever, or however many directors they have. Pulse have a ton, but like depending on the size of the company. And those directors are dependent on the production company to be like, find me work because I've got a contract with you guys. And our thing is, creativity should be free. It's not something you should tie someone down into. It's not something that it's like, we'll stuff you into this place and all that kind of stuff. We're like, our thing is to be a revolving door, to be like, okay, so you're the perfect person for this job, but now we finish this, we're not tying you down to anything. You guys go out, be the best you can be, and then come back whenever you're ready. Or come back when we've got something nice for you, or come back when whatever. And the thing is, the other thing is like, as a director or a producer or photographer or whatever, you might have something in mind that you really want to do and you don't know where to go. So you're like, okay, cool, so I've got this idea, I'm this amazing photographer, I've got all this stuff going on, but I don't have the infrastructure, I don't have the team that can back me up. So they come to us and be like, yo, I've got this script, or yo, I've got this idea, but I need a brand, I need a sponsor, or I need a producer, I need a team, I need that.
Or even just facilities, just the
100%.
most very basic of desk space or anything like that.
100%.
It's like, that's where we benefit them as,
Yeah, they'll come to us, and then we'll incubate the process. And the thing is, it's like, it sounds a bit like a creative agency, but it's not, because we produce the content. So it's like, a lot of creative agencies might not have the know-how of, okay, so our thing is putting the creative first, so their process is very important to us. So it's like, if they come to us, we're like, right, so we know exactly what headspace you need to be in to be the best you can be, kind of thing. So we kind of keep the brand at bay and keep the creative happy, sort of thing, and then create the best content out of being able to do that.
So how are you picking, like, say for instance, a director? How are people getting onto your roster? How are you doing that?
Usually they'll hit us up, or we'll hit them up, depending on what it is that we've seen and all that kind of stuff. We have like researchers on deck, and then we'll do our research, do all that kind of stuff, and then we'll have a conversation. Most likely go for a drink or something, or come to the studio, maybe do a test shoot, and then that way we'll just be like, okay, cool, so you're on the list.
Yeah.
budget, availability, style.
Yeah.
So I think, do we have enough to afford them? Some directors are incredibly expensive. Are they available for the dates? Some people are also incredibly busy. And then out of that final selection, we know the project looks like this. These guys would really suit that.
Yeah.
So Just about being organised.
Yeah.
Spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Lots of spreadsheets.
Okay. All right. So because we're talking about turning pro. So all of you, talk to me about the lessons that you've learned that have kind of helped you kind of make progress. What are there key things that you think, oh bloody hell, I wished I'd learned that a while ago. That would have helped. What are those things?
Investing in yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's really like. I mean, we've heard it already. You know, £800 of your own money will potentially kickstart your career. Even if you don't necessarily want to be in the creative side of things, investing in, you know, hardware for if you're my brother's an audio technician. He's recently invested in a whole bunch of sound recording kit. He's put an extra couple £100 in his day rate as well. No brotherly rates going. So it's just keep investing in yourself, and people will return the investment. Whatever you put into the world, you'll get back.
Yeah, Theo did the same thing. He's being modest, but he did the same thing. He bought his own, like, he basically bought the Starship Enterprise of edit suites and, like, put it in his bedroom, barely fit it through the door, and then made his room into this space. So, like, that was our edit suite.
We did full Channel 4 series
Massive.
out of there, and like
we did a documentary for Sky, Channel 4 documentaries, music videos for, like, Vivo, MTV, all this stuff.
This is at my mum's house as well. We had, like, you know, commissioners and artists going through the walls. My mum's had, like, oh, would you like a cup of tea?
Yeah, 100%. And then
Stop it, Mum.
at the same time, so now, like, so I've been able to invest us in a studio. So we have a studio space in Woolwich that we're able to work out of and whatever, and it's not cheap, but but now we're able that a client can come through and be like, this place is dope. So I'll give it.
But Theo's mum's not there to make the
No.
That was the personal touch. That might have been the secret.
I think that was. That's what got us so far. Yeah. Need to buy some flowers.
Yeah, but I think investing in yourself is really, and it's difficult to do because you can't see where the money's going to come from. So you're paying this money into something and hoping that the work comes in. And you're like, okay, cool, but you have to just be proactive. So it's like, once you have the space, put it out there into the world and be like, I'm here, I've got this, anyone want to use it? Like, in any way sort of thing. And then they'll come back to you.
What about you, Rashida?
I would say just maybe take a little less time to feel sorry for yourself, lick your wounds, because there's gonna be so many no's, like, and that's such a cliche thing to say, but there's literally gonna be so many no's. But I guess the people who end up making a career out of, you know, whatever it is, directing, writing, photography, are the people who like sit at home and wallow for a day, but then jump onto the next thing the next day.
Yeah.
And if you do want to make a career out of it, then treat it as such, even if the money's not coming in. So I guess it's kind of reiterating what Ntando said, by it is still an investment in yourself. You might be, you know, doing that bar job, which is paying your rent, but you need to be putting just as much time, energy, money into what it is that you're trying to achieve, or like it's just not gonna happen.
What was the thing that, like, you were sat on your film for a while?
Mm-hmm.
What was the thing that kind of then gave you the confidence to maybe start submitting it places or doing things with it? What changed?
That was people. That was like me having some really great friends who I guess just gave me the kick that I needed. You know, you can't say that you want to do this if you're not going to put stuff out, because at the end of the day, if you want to be a filmmaker, it's all about how people receive your work, and it's going to be critiqued. Like, it doesn't, that's literally what I was trying to do. So they just gave me that push. And not even people that I work with, just generally friends who, you know, they work in journalism or they're photographers. Having a good circle, and obviously you can't dictate who your mates are, but that always helps.
Yeah. And so what, from your point of view, Theo Ntando, did you, like, how did the guys at Lemonade Money feel once you'd kind of basically taken, they helped you build up all your skills and stuff, and then essentially you kind of chipped? What was that about?
I'd like to say
first.
they're lovely.
They're
like, I
amazing.
cannot sing
So
their praises enough.
they're back. They're supportive of what you're doing.
We still work there.
They've
sometimes.
got an open door policy with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
We walk through the door and say hello anytime.
Yeah.
So you didn't burn the bridges.
No.
never.
Because right now, at this moment in time, I'm directing Yo MTV Raps.
Yeah.
Season 2. Did season 1.
Yeah.
And I'm directing Yo MTV Raps season 2 with Lemonade.
Yeah.
Like, so we're there every day, like all the time.
So that's a current version of it, not the 80s version.
Yes.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
They brought it back.
Yeah.
Internationally as well, after the success of the first series.
Yeah.
Nando's being modest there.
Yeah.
Full international rollout now.
Wow.
Yeah. It's cool.
So how do you, just as a, like, it seems like it would be it's quite a useful tip to kind of, how do you leave without it being this big thing where they're kind of saying, never darken our doorstep again? How did you manage to get out but still be cool?
Do a decent handover.
Yeah?
There are so many people who will leave a company in just flames and tatters. And just that last week is just like, woo! Do a decent handover, put some decent notes in an email.
Yeah.
Just compassion, isn't it? Just have a
100%.
little bit of compassion for the dude picking up after you.
Yeah. No one knows where anything is. There's drives all over the
You've
place.
got your own
like,
personal
it's
system
just-
for everything, and they're like, he was working here, I swear, but we can't fix it at all.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy who they have to call every 3 weeks after you've left, asking what the password for this printer is or whatever.
Yeah.
Just do a decent handover, guys.
I think also just honesty.
Yeah.
Like, the industry's smaller than you think. Like, and I'm still learning this now. Like, but the industry is definitely smaller than you think. So it's much easier to just be open about it and be like, okay, cool. For example, I might be leaving a job a little bit earlier than planned. But instead of saying, I've got a wedding to go to, or some shit, I'll just be like, you know what, I've got this other job on and I'm passionate about it, really want to do it. Is it okay if we fit the schedule so that I can finish shooting at that point so I can go off and do the other job? And most of the time, 90% of the time, they'll be like, yeah, fine, that sounds amazing, let me know how it goes. Otherwise, they'll just see you on Instagram anyway. And then you won't get a job there, so you may as well just be honest about it.
All right. Look, what I wanted to do is make sure that people get a chance to kind of talk to you and ask you their questions, get some advice or some thoughts or anything. So does anybody have a question for these guys yet? Oh, everybody's a bit shy now. See, what happened in my last session, I went, does anybody have a question? And nobody's hands went up. I go, so we're out of time. We've got time for one more question. And like 17 hands went up. You see what I mean? Take the chance now before we run out of time. There's a hand at the back. You let her walk all the way down the stairs and then you put your hand up. It's just talking about compassion, bro.
Sorry, I'll try and learn from you guys. Can you give us probably the most kind of entertaining and colossal fail that you had to pick yourself up from?
Wow.
'Cause I think that this is an important thing for people to understand what might come their way and just be able to get
you lot
past
are going
it.
to have to answer this because I have no experience in this area. Ooh.
There's just so many.
Yeah, it's
Like,
so true.
there's so many.
Without getting too name-cally or specific, there's
Oh, this is going to be good.
sometimes you run into situations, and it's always like the biggest pitfalls I've ever run into is financial pitfalls, where it's like, so you mentioned in a phone call that you'd need additional budget, but you didn't get it in writing, and then you shot the scene, and then they're saying no, and you're saying, but I spent it. They're saying it doesn't exist, and you're saying no, but I spent the money, and then that always hurts for Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say we're doing a show for Sky. It was a documentary that I was directing. It's called Gorilla Sounds.
Straight in with the names.
And I mean, it's what it is, man. It's like,
Theo's the one who handles the legal issues. He's the one who keeps you out of court.
and there was a late delivery on my side, and it almost screwed up the whole rollout for the rest of the deliverables. And like, I don't like that moment when you've got like 4 or 5 execs calling your phone, and you're just like trying to hold like 3 phones at once, trying to talk to people, being like, it's uploading, and like, and you have nothing, you don't have anything to say, but it's late. And that moment that it's late, you lose some credibility, like immediately. Fortunately, the film held up, so we're good. But there is a moment of always meet your deadlines, like always meet your deadlines. I know I was late today, right? I was late today. No, I was late today. Right? I was late today. I can. Because since, right, when it comes to delivering, right, I am so scared about deadlines, like in terms of like making sure we've edited and pushed it all out there or whatever. I'm just saying, meet the deadlines. You're late to a meeting, It's right. But just meet your deadlines.
No, mate. All right. So clearly, the advice from me is be more scary.
Yeah.
What about you? Is there one that really sticks out? If you really, I mean, obviously, first version of the fence.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I haven't severely fucked up yet. Nothing has cost me yet.
Okay,
That's good.
you're not ruling it out.
I'm not, but then again, I'm a writer director. I feel like it's really hard when maybe you're producing stuff, because then the budget and stuff is on you, and I think money is the biggest way. I mean, besides delivering, having to deliver stuff, which is another big thing. But even then, I guess with my stuff, it's not on me. So there's a lot of impending doom stuff that's not on me for my work, luckily. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Spread the load. All right, that's a good question. We've got another question down here. Okay. There you go. Don't worry, we saw you.
In terms of networking across, obviously when you're lower down in the ladder, there's a lot less stakes and a lot more unreliable people. How do you deal with those people?
I don't know. Basically, you put them on the panel and let them come anyway. Never getting over that one, bro. Go on. Answer the question. Horizontal kind of. So, how do you deal with?
How to deal with unreliable people? I ask myself that question every day. Because it's not just low down. Like, people can be unreliable at any stage in their career. It's I guess researching who you're working with. Just because you are asking people to give up their time for free or for less than, doesn't mean it warrants unreliability. I think that's down to personal integrity, really.
Yeah. Definitely. Listen, I can tell you, I'm unreliable every week, all right? And a lot of that is to do with the fact that people don't think about what they're asking you to do, or or the scope of where you're at the moment. Do you see what I mean? So a bunch of people are upset at me for not getting them stuff sorted this week. Like, dude, I'm busy this week. Do you see what I mean? A little bit of empathy in terms of how you're dealing with people and understanding where they're at. You can make people be more reliable for you by dealing with them in the right way, I feel.
Oh, that's really wise.
Yeah, that's me, wise.
You're alright with the wisdom.
Yeah, mate, dropping science blood. Right?
Do you have any methods in terms of like contingency plans or anything like that?
You have to make the mistakes.
Absolutely.
You have to work with someone that you don't want to work with, and then you know you don't want to work with them again.
Yeah.
That's it.
But you can sometimes spot the people.
Yeah, you can.
That's why it's
You can.
important to meet them as much as possible beforehand.
Meet
really
them,
get a feel
hang
for
out,
them.
Get to know them a bit,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you can sometimes spot people, but equally sometimes you'll think, nah, this one's making my spider sense tingle,
Yeah.
right? And then it turns out that maybe you were a bit wrong. So sometimes you have to kind of give people a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. The more mistakes you make earlier, the better. Like, and then find your. Me and Theo found each other when we were in our teens, so, you know, we got really lucky. So like, the more you look and make mistakes now with people, the better, because then you can grow as a team throughout.
There is also one other way of dealing with it, and that is to just be a total control freak and just try and do as much of it yourself as possible,
Don't
and
do
just
that.
kill yourself on every job and pull 20-hour days, and that's the alternative approach. So yeah.
The other thing you can do, the last one, is that if you're checking out new people, start off on something small. Start with something, do something small, and work your way up. Do you see what I mean? Let's meet for a coffee. If they're like 10 minutes late, you know what I mean? You know, let's like just start off on little things. All right, let's. If it's a writer, I need a script. It's a minute long. Can you help me out? It's like, okay. If they, you know, can we get this done by next Thursday? If Thursday they show up with a script, maybe try the longer thing with them. If they don't show up on Thursday, it's cool. It was only a minute long script, so hopefully it doesn't completely derail everything that you're doing. You know, so start people off small and get to know and feel them out a bit. All right. Do we have another question? Does anybody else have a question? Was there a hand up somewhere? There you go.
Hi, thanks for all the information. When you were starting out, how did you manage financially during the quieter periods?
Ooh,
Good question.
yeah. There we go. The nitty gritty.
It is very important to have a side hustle. I can't stress that enough. I think your side hustle doesn't necessarily even have to be something outside of the industry. For me personally, I was an editor, and then that very much propped up my income for when I wanted to start directing, because it's hard to get people to recognise you're creative, and depending on what field you want to go to, even if you're wanting to be a DOP or something like that, you know, there's a ton of sparking jobs out there where you can go and you can sit on shoots, and you know, you don't need to be a qualified electrician. You can just learn from as many people and meet as many contacts as possible. Everyone is always happy to get a runner on board. You don't need any form of qualification. I dropped out with GCSEs to become a runner, you know. If you're hardworking, people will see that. The more you do that, you know. And then if you want to be an art director, I've got a mate who's literally going through this right now. He's PAing, he's production assistant. He's doing a lot of work, like maybe like 15, 20 shoots in a month, but his main goal is being an art director. So during that time, he's developing his skills, he's building up portfolio work. You have this main goal, and yeah, you can have your side hustle inside the industry, something that's easy to achieve. Everything's a numbers game. If you're doing enough shoots, you'll get enough money to live on. Just keep churning out work, keep fighting the good fight. That's really it.
It depends what your goal is.
Absolutely.
If you're here's my opinion, right? If you're a writer and you're like, it's different between a writer and a director or a DOP, right? So if you're a writer and you want to just be writing all the time, I wouldn't say necessarily be on set every day. I would actually say work in a coffee shop. Work in normal reality so you can learn as much as you can about people, so you have experiences, so you have more to write, essentially. But if you're learning to be a DOP, you're learning to be like a gaffer, a spark, a this, a that, something slightly more technical, I would say, yeah, shoot as much as you possibly can. Like, it just depends on what your goal is, kind of thing. But I would say, yeah, I think just to mimic what Theo's saying, just definitely link yourself to someone that is way, way, way above you. We got really lucky because, like I said, working at Lemonade, we were able to, like, the people that left there and stayed there and whatever were able to be like, we've worked with you before, we know you guys are good runners, we know you guys are good production assistants, so we just be bold, call them up or text them if you know them that well and be like, looking for any jobs, can you hit us up? And they will keep you afloat. If you have a good rapport with them, they can keep you afloat for a while you're doing your things on the side or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So like, just keep those relationships good, I think. It's not always easy to keep a side hustle within the jobs that you want, within the around the roles that you want. That's actually really difficult to do. So I'm not trying to make it sound easy, because it's not easy to do, but there are ways that you can make it happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you have a side hustle still?
No.
Alright.
I stopped working full time when I realised that I had enough lined up to match what I was earning before.
Yeah, baby.
Not that it was much, but then also just whatever I was asked to do, that if someone was asking me to write a script, or for example, I've got a TV series in development, I explained my situation, my personal circumstances, and I asked to be paid. I think there's like a taboo around money that I've just decided is not worth it for me, because I have bills to pay. So that's how I go about it personally.
Look, I love you. Oh man, yeah, that's the stuff. I mean, it's one of the biggest problems is people just literally dealing with people and actually going, look, you need to pay me. Do you know what I mean? Actually understanding the value of what you're doing and what you're contributing, and making sure that people recognise it. Oh man, I like that. We've got another question. Oh, there's a hand going up. Seriously, you need to get these hands going up faster, because these bits where they where we wait for the hand to go up, they look rubbish online. Do you know what I mean? Hurting my stats, baby. Come on, what was your question?
Rashida, on the topic of your film, The Fences, even considering it was 800 and it was low budget, how did you go about crewing up?
Crewing up?
Mm-hmm.
They were all my friends, and I asked my friends who have more followers than me on Instagram to put it on their Instagram, and so on and so on and so forth. And even all my actors, they came on board for free. I just paid for cabs, and you feed them well, and that was like, you spend time with them before, and be grateful, and if you kind of see if they believe in your work, the story that you're telling, if you're passionate about it, and then you can kind of engage passion from them, then I don't think I've ever come across someone who's like, I won't make time for it, because all of us are trying to get to the same place. So yeah, it was literally just next person.
Never underestimate how hungry a cameraman is.
Yeah.
You can get a lot with a hot meal.
Where did you get the kit from?
From my job at the time, Fremantle. Yeah.
Okay.
Fremantle got free gear as well. Really? They just let you take some stuff?
Sick.
You let me take some stuff.
I was kind of obligated. Do you know what I mean? I had to, I was already $5,000 in the hole. I had to make sure you finished. No. It's a joke. All right, okay. We got
And
another
also reaching out to bigger companies. Sorry, I mean,
Good,
if
no,
you go
please.
to Procam and you say I'm really, really broke, is there can I pay for insurance rather than renting out kit? They might just give it to you. It's just, I feel like ask.
Be bold.
The worst thing that anyone could say is no. Again, with the cliches,
Absolutely.
but fact.
Be bold, man.
Absolutely. And also work out what the off-seasons are for kit houses.
Yeah.
There are times when they literally just have millions of pounds worth of kits sitting in a warehouse. They are more than happy for you to come in, learn how to use it, shoot stuff on it. Like you said, if you've got insurance, they're happy.
Yes.
Just credit them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
Put a
credit
big
them.
old logo at the end of
Put a logo at the end. Put it in the credits. Powered by Procam, whatever the hell.
You know what I mean?
Just credit them.
They're building customers, isn't it? Go off, get some work, then you come back with your budget.
Exactly.
Especially
them up.
if you've got a few followers and you
Yeah.
credit them, that's more work for them, because they'll be like, oh, where can I get some kit? Oh, let me look at this video. Oh, Procam's at the bottom. Okay.
All right.
So, I've got a couple more questions for Rashida,
Got
if
a
that's
couple
okay.
more questions.
I'm so
have you?
sorry.
All right. Scene. Go ahead.
Can I speak?
Change my mind. No, you can't.
I'm just kidding, I'm sorry.
Go on then.
Rashida, considering you were at Fremantle at the time, I'm guessing, yes, you were at Fremantle at the time and you're working hard as you were a researcher, is that right?
Yeah.
when did you shoot? How long was the shoot, and how did you sort of weave in the time to do all that and work? Because
Details.
The shoot was Saturday, Sunday. I would
2 days.
yeah,
Is that all?
that was it. Yeah,
Wow.
and then
Fair play.
we lost everything, so I used another Saturday, Sunday, and
So 4 days.
I would stay after work and then invite everyone who I was working on the film with into my work office at Fremantle, so we could sit down and workshop together. So I just utilized everything around me. I guess the full-time job at the time was like my saving grace. I used their space, I used their kit. I even used it on the weekend because it's in a big building and you can tap in your card to get through. So kind of just milk what you have access to.
Preach.
It's amazing how giving people in this industry will be when they see that you're really dedicated to something and that you're completely sold in creating something. Everyone here has gone through the same process. That's the beautiful thing about it. So people are always willing to help. I'm always amazed by just how much you can get just by asking.
You guys came.
Not that Fremantle knew I was using the space on the weekend.
They didn't know?
No.
Oh. They don't have security cameras. What's going on?
I didn't get fired though, so.
You know what I mean? Be bold. All right, you said you had another question?
Yeah, final question again for Rashida, but of course, totally.
Okay, it's all right. There's other people here, but go ahead. I'm kidding. Go.
Considering, you had a role in TV, when you decided to take that full plunge and, become, I guess, a full-time filmmaker, did you end up burning any bridges in TV, or do you think you still maintain that?
No, I think, like they said, it's how you leave. I had not only been like a broken record with like, I want to be a writer-director all around like the whole office. But when I left, I spoke to the creative director of the label and then to my entire team and said, this is what I'm trying to do, so this is when I'm going to leave. And everyone was cool with it. So there's still people that I work with today. They're people who got me contacts in the TV industry for my pilot. And it's, maintaining relationships, because burning bridges is not smart in this industry.
Yeah.
Also, you never know when you're going to want to change your career. I mean, you might do something and really enjoy it for 10 years, but we're all young, you know. You might want to go from being a writer to being something more visual. You might want to go from being something more visual to being something more along the creative lines. There's nothing to say that in 20 years' time you're going to not just go like, I've seen this interesting avenue, let me explore that now. So, yeah, you always want to just try and keep your options open in life, I think.
Yeah, this used to be my side hustle. Yeah? No, honestly.
What was the real hustle?
No, remember, I used to do radio stuff. I used to come here and do bits and pieces. And then the radio stuff became more like the side hustle, and this became the full-time hustle.
I see.
And now I've still got a next side hustle doing radio adverts still. Do you see what I mean?
He's on everything.
Got kids to feed, baby. You know what I mean?
Also, my first job, my first industry like role was an internship at Green Door Pictures, which is Idris Elba's production company. And I got that from volunteering at Film Africa, and he was showing his documentary. So I walked up to him and said, "Can I work at your production company?" And he said yes. So, like, there's been
like
so many.
What, just like that?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What, like, he didn't say, like, or drop me an email, we'll talk about it. He just said yes on the spot.
Yeah, no. Okay, so obviously I gave like the whole buffer spiel. I was like, I'm a fan and blah 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 blah, and I wanna work in film, and I know that you have a production company. I'm at university. Would you mind if I spent like a month getting some experience? And he was like, yeah, sure. My team are inside there. Didn't really speak to me for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But my point is, like, there's such like top talent here at the festival over these 4 days, and it's worth just not being afraid to go up to them and ask whatever questions you want.
Very good. All right. We good? All right. Right, thumbs up. Yeah. All right, hold on. How much time have we got? Well, we can do a couple more. Go on then. There's just there. Stick your hand up so you can see. There you go. Yeah, you can.
Thanks.
Help yourself.
Cheers.
See, this is it. Compassion. Even late people get water.
Yeah, no, I'm going to let you drink. That's fine.
Okay, that's right. Go ask the question. We can listen and drink at the same.
Okay. So I was just wondering.
Remember, internet, baby.
What?
It's called a callback, but don't worry about it. Let's go.
No, I was just. So how do you go about not letting? This is gonna sound a bit weird, but letting film consume all your life. I was just thinking what you said earlier about, like, let's say you would have to go to a wedding, like it's your sister's wedding, or you have a shoot like that weekend as well. Like you don't wanna seem off. Like, could you just be like, hey, can I take some time off for this?
I think okay. So for the most part, we're not surgeons. We're not like reinventing some life-changing, life-saving stuff. It's TV and it's film and it's amazing. It's beautiful and it's like important. But if something important comes up in your personal life, speak to someone. They'll more than like have some compassion for you to be like, it's your sister's wedding. Go to the wedding. So it wouldn't be too much of an issue, I don't think. Like, I think it's like, just be honest about it. You don't need to be coy necessarily. Just be like, well, and if they say no, and then you got to deal with it then. But really, but 90% of the time, people are just going to be like, well, yeah, you have a life to live. But like, and it's also sometimes it's difficult.
It's when you ask, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
You don't get it if you don't ask.
You don't get it if you don't ask. It's really as simple as that. You don't get it if you don't ask. And no one will be offended. Everyone's trying to make it. Everyone's trying to get to that place. So there is no wrong question. There is no, you just have to ask. And then it's either yes or it's no. But yeah, just ask and you should be all right. Just be courteous about it.
You've got to be a little bit empathetic. So if you're the actor on the shoot and they've scheduled it around you, and then you show up on the day and say, well, you know what, actually it turns out it's my sister's wedding. Can I go? Do you see what I mean? It's like, it's that, you know, you've got to kind of think about where you are and be aware of what other people are doing and how much they're relying on you or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. If you can option them a replacement, even better. If you're like, I want to go to this wedding, but I've got a solution, then that's even better because they don't even have to think about it. Really, you've thought for them. They don't have to come up with a solution to your problem. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Let's get some more questions before we run out of time. Oh, there's one. There's a hand. Ooh.
Do you have any like advice on going from like a full-time 9-to-5 job to being freelance and working for yourself if you've only got like evenings and weekends to do it?
That's an interesting question. In what regard? So, like, are you like a hobbyist in terms that you enjoy making films in your spare time, and then your 9-to-5 is non-related to the industry?
No,
I'm
like
presuming.
I'm an editor, like 9-to-5, but I want to direct.
Oh yeah, I can talk to you about this.
Yeah,
Easy.
that's him.
That was what
That's
my life
literally
was.
what he did.
Yeah, come on then, Theo.
Yeah.
How do you make the transition? How do you get into being more creative? Well, the main trick is I was an editor in everyone's minds until I took the leap of faith and made a short film off my own back, totally self-funded. I showed that to all of the commissioners I knew, because I knew quite a few of them, just because of, you know, they come and sit in the edit with you sometimes. Everyone who could possibly listen to, I was showing this to, and eventually one of them went, oh, actually, yeah, okay, I've got this project coming up. Do you want to make it? That was the first document.
Oh, yeah.
It never even got released.
Amazing.
All I ever
Amazing.
did was make a trailer for it that looked
sick.
really nice, and had a good subject matter. And then the hype off of that being never released, never even released the trailer online, managed to secure me some actually paid directing work. So it's a mixture of talking to as many people as you can, invest in yourself. Like, I'm always going to come back to that. And then, yeah, just take the leap of faith, and it's always horrible getting your work out there and showing it to people, but it will pay off.
Can you like think about like at your job? You're 5 days a week at the moment. Could you do 4? Would they be cool with that? Could you survive?
I don't think they'd let me, but
Do you know what I mean? You can ask. Have you asked?
No. But
And also, don't be afraid to, like, obviously an edit is a huge part of what drains most film budgets. So if you've got the facilities there to do late nights and continue a project there, you've offset 50% of your production costs, like right there. So now think about what's the side that you do need a bit more help on. Do you need cameramen with cameras, stuff like that? So if you've got the post side covered, which I'm presuming you would, just look at your weaker elements and just work on building those, because you might find that if it is, it is something you can plan in evenings. It is something that we all do late nights in the beginning. It's just something that you have to grin and bear. But yeah, there's no easy option for it. We all need to pay rent, and we all want to expand beyond our means. So yeah, just keep pushing it basically, and just go out and find some DOPs who'll be able to help you. And yeah, don't worry, because you've got that post side covered. Don't think about it. Sometimes you get a bit scared because you're like, I'm on the arse end of it. No, I don't talk to as many people. I'm not talking to actors and stuff like that. That's okay. You'll find them.
thank you.
You start an hour earlier, finish an hour later, 4 days a week. You'd still do the same amount of work, wouldn't you? So yeah, see if they'll let you go, so you can got that 3-day weekend to kind of play with and get some stuff done.
And then when you need your contract negotiated, Yori's here.
Yeah. Just, you can't afford me, but it's worth, you can ask. Send me an email. You know what I mean? Just not this week. All right, does anybody else have a question? Like, do you see what I mean? Look, these guys here, these guys can give you some actual careers advice. Is there any directors here who want to get going?
Question.
Okay, you have a question?
Yeah. Sorry, it's me again.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly to Ntando and Theo. How have you managed to deal or get the most out of projects that you really don't like but have had to do because it's a bit like a money earner, or it's just something that is, this is a lot of money?
Yeah,
and
I like this question.
You, bro.
The reason why I like this question is because I say the same thing to writers in particular and people that are getting bogged down by corporate work. So we've been really lucky that we haven't had to do too much corporate work. We went straight in for the music realm. So that leads into short film, docs, all that stuff, right? But we have done corporate work before, like our fair share of corporate work, like definitely a lot. But the majority of our work has been in that realm. I would say the best thing to do is you can take something from every shoot you do. It's like, put it this way: if you want to get into features, and you see something in, let's say it's in Fight Club, the film, and you're like, this is a shooting technique that I think is dope, but where am I going to practice it? Put something in the piece that you're doing, even if it is corporate work, something really small, even if it's like a lens, or even if it is like you might use a certain camera or whatever it is, to practice on the corporate work. That way you're always taking something back from work that you don't really like, and it excites you about it because you're practicing a technique and getting paid for it even if it's a job that you don't necessarily like. You have to practice it before you do it anyway. So you're not going to practice doing your favorite shooting technique on a feature film. You would have had to done it thousands of times. So the best thing to do is like always take something from every shoot you do. Always put a little nugget in there that everyone else might not notice, but you will, and be like, I'm going to do this little thing right here. And at the end, you'll be like, it worked because no one noticed. Do you know what I mean? It worked. It was good. And then you can keep practicing on different techniques and whatever. I always say the same thing. That's why I find every shoot interesting. Every shoot's more and more fun because I'm always testing myself.
Yeah.
I'd also say on the flip side as well, this is where actually being a hobbyist can really, really pay off. If you're stuck in the corporate world and you're only making online corporate content, go out and make something cool in your spare time, because you might have a bit more access to kit or something like that. Extend your hire over a weekend. Like, do you want to add an extra day on? The client's probably not going to notice. Now you've got kit for a weekend, go and shoot something cool.
Yeah.
Like, just because you feel like you're stuck in this corporate world and you're only making money out of this corporate world doesn't mean you can't make it work for you. So whether it's including shots or whether it's, extending out your kit for an extra day or anything along those lines, or even just not posting your corporate work, but using your corporate work to support your hobbying, and your hobbying is what you're posting about and talking about because it's what you really care about.
A lot of people do that. A lot of people you wouldn't know are like kings in the corporate game of film, but all they put out is short films and like little bits, little knickknacks and stuff that they actually want to show, because they just manage their time really well. Do you know what I mean? So booking on a Friday for a kit house, more than most kit houses, you'll keep the kit for the weekend.
Yeah.
No one else is shooting on the weekend.
It's so funny. We did a session earlier in the week about stock videography. I said something similar. It's like, if you go somewhere cool on a job, stay an extra day.
It's a free
100%.
location. Yeah,
Shoot
absolutely.
a load of stuff
100%.
and upload it into a stock videography camp. You can make a load of, it's a nice little passive earner for filmmakers.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else got a question? Oh, seriously, don't make me wrap this up and then the hands go up, yo. All right.
I've got a question.
You've got a question. There's a question here. Go on.
Cheers. So, we're currently filming like a short film, which is about 25 minutes long, and we're going to wrap it in the coming weeks. And we're kind of thinking of how to get that film to be seen by like the right people. So, like thinking of entering into competitions and festivals, things like that. Could you talk a bit about like the exhibition process of like getting the right people to see your film in order to get like film jobs consistently?
Go on, you start.
When you say film jobs, are you looking for the film to be viewed by like industry people, or
Yeah.
are you
So,
looking
like-
to be hired by, what's it for? Is it to get your name out as a director?
Yeah,
or-
basically. Kind of writing, directing to show, like a portfolio, like building a film that shows off your skills. And so, how do you get that out?
I guess
to
there's like
the
two
right
ways
people?
of doing it. I have gone the industry route. So with all my shorts to date, there's nothing online. I literally don't really exist online. But I've entered all my films into festivals and then sent it around within the industry to get me work. But then there's also the other way of doing it, which is putting it straight online and like having thousands of people watch it, and I guess kind of building a sort of
Fan base.
yeah, I don't know if fan base is like the right word, but people knowing about it and it's popular because like zeitgeist is the whole thing, right? And that, I guess that works more for branded content, but it depends on which way you want to go about it, because both work. 25 minutes is quite long for short film festivals. They normally cap it at 15 or 10, but there are some bigger festivals that accept like 40 minutes as short film stuff, and if you don't even have a budget for it, like I've got loads of waivers for all the I don't think I've never paid to get my film into a short film, because I just write and I'm like, I'm a poor filmmaker, can I just have the fee waived? And they say yes, but
Gotta ask.
I'm also, the latest short that I've done, I'm putting it straight online just because I feel like it's good to have a presence, so people, when they type your name in Google, they can see it, because when you do go for jobs, first thing someone's going to do is look you up. So it just kind of depends on which way you want to get out there first. If it is so you have an online presence, or if it's to just go the industry route. But yeah. Does that help?
Cheers.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
You guys got a thought on this?
I like a bit more of a shotgun at a dartboard approach.
Yeah.
Try everything you possibly can. Like, probably the best thing you can do is you'll probably know a few short film like screening names and stuff like that. We've all heard of Sundance and stuff like that. Google different film festivals, especially ones that are local to you. Find out what their submission rules are. Stuff like duration and things like that are going to be quite important. So it might be that you even think about tailoring the film to meet these criteria. Then on the online approach, do you have friends with big social followings? Can they help boost you with posts and stuff like that? I know that YouTube's algorithm promotes anything over 10 minutes. But now you want to ask yourself, is my film going to be good for a YouTube audience? Because that's a bit more you know, maybe it's got a high count of kids on there, or is it something that's going to talk more to industry professionals? Should I put it on Vimeo? Put it on both, you know, but one of them, it might be better geared towards the other. Again, there'll be different durations that will play out better with their algorithms. There's so much stuff that comes into play with it. Ultimately, just get it out there, try and get as many people talking about it as you can. Your social network, as in your personal circle, is the most important tool when you're first starting out. They are the ones who will be able to help you the most.
It's like creating a moment for yourself. So you might not have all these execs to hit up, or you might not have all these producers to be like, oh, look at my film, whatever. But you damn sure have some friends that can put your stuff out there, and you can hit up people on Instagram and all that stuff. So if you started your own screening, for example, and you're like, come through, there'll be a few drinks, and you had it at a space, so it doesn't matter where it is, it could be a bar, it could be wherever, and you had a little mini screening and you created a moment around it, took some photos, put it up on Instagram, had the film has its own Instagram, and then people's pictures are up on there and whatever. Create a moment around your film. It doesn't need to be someone else that creates that moment. It's like you create it yourself, create a little buzz. That doesn't matter how big or how small, and you'll start getting some traction. And then more people will see it. Generally, people will start to see it more.
That's especially good if you're thinking you want to go the festival route.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily want, if you want to go festivals, a lot of festivals don't want films that have already been online.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
having like this kind of Instagram social media moment for the film without, you know, so the film exists online but isn't actually available to view online, is maybe a way of getting the best of both worlds, where you can have that little bit of the social thing going on, but still keep the potential of film festivals open for it as well, you know? The other thing is that it's maybe worth, there are companies that kind of specialise in festival runs, like Festival Formula. So you know, maybe get someone at Festival Formula to look at it and see whether they're like, if they say to you, look, dude, no chance, this isn't going to work at festivals, don't waste your money, at least then you know, right, I'm going all in on online. But if they say to you, dude, you know, this one, we should submit, blah, 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 then maybe then that, you know, so try and get some feedback on the film and some sort of other outputs to kind of give you an idea of what you might, you know, which routes might suit it.
Bring it to Yari.
Don't bring it
to Yari. You have a
Make a trailer.
Yeah, trailer.
Trailers, yeah.
Definitely.
Teasers, trailers,
So
cut
you can
downs.
send it to absolutely everybody without giving away the whole thing, and then you get an idea of the reception.
It's a trailers are an art form, man. Like I can watch trailers for an entire day. It's like, and they'll have nothing. When sometimes you watch a trailer and it's got nothing to do with the film, or you're watching a trailer and you're like, wait, but didn't that person die or some shit? But
yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Like, do you know what? Like, I saw the Hobbs and Shaw trailer.
Oh, word.
You know, the spin-off of Fast and the Furious. And I was like,
oh, word, yeah.
I was like, I was like, I don't need to see this film. This trailer sucks.
Yeah.
So bad. It's like, I don't need to see that film. Do you see what I mean? Because if they'd spent a bit more time making the trailer a bit nicer, they might have sold an extra ticket.
Yeah. You might want to get, if you have an editor on board, you might want to get a different editor to do your trailer, because they'll see your images in a completely different way. Your editor that's actually edited the film will be like, this is the story, this is how I want to put it out there. They know too much. But if you get an editor, it's like the same thing as doing a show reel. If you do a show reel for your company, like we're in the middle of that now, doing a show reel for a company, and we're like, you know what, we need to get this edited ASAP, but Theo cannot do it.
Need someone as objective as possible.
Completely.
In that scenario.
You don't want anyone that knows your stuff or anything can look at it subjectively and be like, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good. I'm going to put it together like this. It doesn't have to make sense to the actual film. They're going to have that experience. How many trailers have you watched where you're like, I didn't know this film was going to be about that or like that? Like, it just needs to be shit hot.
Look at Suicide Squad. The whole thing was just a giant trailer.
Yeah.
Got people to watch it, but they weren't happy afterwards. But they watched it.
Yeah.
It got numbers, yeah.
All right. Okay, I reckon we've got time for one more question. And that's the last one before we have to wrap this up. Yeah? All right, safe. You had your chance. All right, look. So, let's wrap this up. Let's do the roundup, right? So we're talking about turning pro, all right? One last key thought from you guys on that whole process for people, you know, kind of making that transition from whatever, you know, side hustle into full-time gig or whatever that transition might be. What are your last thoughts?
Don't rush it. Know where you are and whether or not it's the right time to do it. There's nothing wrong with keeping a part-time job for however long until you're in a position to not go bust as soon as you decide to try.
Yep, that's good.
Echoing from that, I'd say knowing how you work is incredibly important before you make a venture out. You know, how self-motivated are you? Do you need to leave the house every day to make sure that you're getting stuff done? Like having a separate workspace, all of these things will prepare you massively. But I think you really need to ask yourself, do you want it to be, do you enjoy it as a hobby? Because it might absolutely kill your enjoyment for it, making it a full-time profession.
Yeah, I get that.
Like, I can't tell you how many people I know who love doing art, and then they go and try and become an artist, and that process of being paid and having to work to a brief, and it soul destroys them, and as a result they'll never draw in their spare time anymore or something like that. That's kind of, you know, is it something you love? Are you kind of willing to sacrifice that thing that you love? So just really balance out, do I want this as a hobby that I can get some recognition for? Do I want it as a full-time career that I'm going to pay my mortgage with? These are really things you have to ask yourself before embarking on
it. I would say enjoy it, really. It's like, it's a trudge. It's a trudge. It's tough, and sometimes it's like, oh, I'm not getting anywhere. This isn't happening or whatever. But any little thing that you like, it feels like an accomplishment, like, celebrate it. We had our first party Saturday just gone?
Yeah.
Saturday just gone.
How did it go?
It was mental. It was crazy. And do you know what it is? It's like I was saying to you, my man, like, it was like literally like, we celebrated ourselves to be like, we made it a thing. So we didn't need like all these socials to make it a thing for us. It was like, well, we'll invite our day ones, people that have known that we've been doing this for a long time, and word kind of got around. And so we had like a huge, it was in the studio, put a projector on the wall, projected cool images, we had a DJ, like had a Xbox in the corner, all of that stuff. And like, it went mad. And from that, we're able to get some more work. And so it's like, create a moment for yourself and celebrate yourself when something good happens. And guarantee you, people pay more attention. Like, if you're quiet, no one's really gonna listen or hear you.
All right. I think that's a good thought to wrap this up on. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for Rashida, for Theo, and for Ntando. Quality work, guys. All right. So, look, there's one more day of festival left. So make sure you get the absolute most out of it. Before we wrap up today, obviously, we're going up to the Blue Room for a drink. If you didn't enter today's draw for a LaCie hard drive, I would suggest this half hour you've got between now and the drink starting is a good time to kind of get into that draw, because that drive is going to someone, and it could be you. And for the time it will take you to enter, I would definitely do that. What else? If you haven't done a clip for the other drive yet, do you see what I mean? So there's two different competitions going on. So there's one that's getting drawn every day where you can get a rugged mini, and there's another one where you can get a 2 big dock, which is what, 20 terabytes? Something like that, 20 terabytes. I Googled it, $9.50 they're going for. Cheapest price I could find one for. So even if you don't need a hard drive, who don't need the money? So 15-second clip of your experience at the festival, drop it off at the atrium, and you could win that 2 big dock. That's going tomorrow. That's part of what we're going to be doing tomorrow as well. So enjoy the rest of the day at the festival. Enjoy the last day of the festival. Get involved and try and take home some of that swag. And hopefully we'll see you again. Thank you so much. Cool.